Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates coming to you from the Crossroads of the West in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 6:02 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Mountain Standard Time in the Intermountain West in Salt Lake City. It is now February 2nd. How about that? It is Tuesday, February 12th, actually. I'm sorry, not 2nd, February 12th, 2020. We want to welcome everyone here to the Emergency Management Associates program tonight. We are going to be talking about earthquakes, we're going to be talking about volcanoes, and we're going to be talking about, yes, the COVID-19, as they want to put it, COVID-19. But we want to welcome everybody here that is going to be joining us tonight. We are going to be opening up the chat room right now so we can be able to see what's going on and talk to each one of you and interact with you during our show tonight. It is very important that we do that. We want to know what is going on. We want to know what's on your mind and how we can help you answer your questions. We're going to be talking about a great deal of things tonight that a lot of people have questions about. I've been getting questions all day here. Larry, child of God, it's good to see you. Barbara, Pamela, thank you all for joining us here tonight. Melissa, thank you for being here too. Melissa did her show this morning with Tim, and they talked about cryptocurrency and Marvel. Yes, they did. What a good show I bet that was. Anyway, we want to talk about all of you with the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the COVID virus, and everything that's going on. It is indeed going to be a night that was. Tell you the honest truth. It's going to be. Sal, welcome here. We appreciate you being here. And everybody that will be joining us tonight, whether you tune in a little bit later or will be joining us on a rebroadcast basis, we want to welcome everybody here. Now, I want to start this show with something that people have been asking about literally since last night. So I'm going to be bringing up that information in just a quick second here. So just bear with me here. And by the way, yes, I did cut my chin here, shaving. It's okay. It's all right. When you are taking the medicine that I am taking, that happens. And sometimes it doesn't stop for a while. So that's just the way the old ball bounces, as they say. And by the way, we have learned that we started off finding out some information about a supervolcano that is in Utah that is 30 times larger than Yellowstone. We thought Longs Valley was huge, Yellowstone being 11 times size of the Grand Canyon, Longs Valley being just as large. Well, now there is a super volcano here in Utah that is 30 times as large, and it erupted 30 million years ago in an explosion 5,000 times larger than what Mount St. Helens did. So we thought we'd pass that on to you too. Okay. The information that I'm going to be talking to you about is very, shall I say, gosh, it's hard to tell you. because every time I get into this, it brings up a lot of people's questions and they begin wondering what the heck is going on. And quite honestly, I want to make it as quickly, I want to make it through as quickly as possible. I want to hopefully make it as clear as possible so that you folks will remember it, you'll be able to understand it, and you're not going to have any problem understanding it, because that has been the issue in the past. We want to clarify everything, everything. Um, One of the questions that people have been asking, if one is going to be adding seismograms, looking at seismograms, and we put the seismograms here on this program, we do. And sometimes we have assumed that anybody that is watching these seismograms, watching our program, will be able to understand the seismograms and can adequately interpret them going forward. I don't expect any of you to be able to interpret the seismograms once you've seen them here on this show. I have been trying to show you these seismograms, show you what is going on. But I don't expect you to be able to interpret them and know what's going on unless you have taken courses in reading seismograms, or you have seen videos on how to read seismograms, or you have gone through the internet and found information on how to read the seismograms. Because quite honestly, there's a lot to it. And I don't claim to be an expert, even though sometimes people see me as an expert. And many times, because of my knowledge and Terry Rempel's knowledge that we have imparted on this program time and time again since last year, since October last year, we have tried to show you this and show you what is going on. And sometimes you're not going to understand it. You're not going to understand it unless you keep with us over and over, day after day, watching these seismograms. Now, I watch probably 50 to 60 seismograms a day. Terry Rempel goes through 200, 250, 300, sometimes more every day. You can't possibly, and I repeat, you can't possibly understand all of these seismograms and what is going on unless you study them. It's like impossible. It's almost impossible. We can look at the magma infill, the influx into the volcanoes, the influx going through lava channels, for example, down near San Francisco, in California, in Texas. Yes, Texas, New Mexico, Yellowstone, Washington, Oregon, up at Mount Redoubt, Old Lama volcano, Shishalden volcano, Tanaga volcano, and I could go on and on and on. You're not going to understand them unless you become someone like Terry, myself, or some other kind of expert that watches these seismograms day after day. And even then, sometimes I have questions. I've asked Terry questions, and sometimes Terry hasn't had all the answers either. And Terry goes back and studies it. And then he calls me a little bit later, either that day or the following day or something. And then he explains it to me. I'm going, okay, now the lights come on. But I'm telling you, sometimes it's just hard. It really is. So I was not planning on showing you too many seismograms up at all tonight. But if we do, I'll try to go through it as quickly and as succinctly, try using that word again, succinctly, clearly, adequately, accurately as possible. Yesterday, and the day before that, I showed you steam signatures all through Mount Baker. I showed you steam signatures at Mount Rainier. I showed you steam signatures over at Mount St. Helens. I showed you the magma infill going on. I hope you got something out of that. I hope you can see what I was showing you. That's the whole purpose of it. Someone says what looks could be a magma impulse could change to a steam pulse. You're absolutely right, it could. It could, and I tried showing you that yesterday. There are many sources, many different sources of what is going on the seismograms. Larry has seen it. Larry Smith, our associate Larry Smith has seen it. Terry has seen it. Many other people that go through it every day see what is going on. And I think we just may have lost our video. Let me check something here. Okay, we're back. The video froze for a minute. I thought, oh my gosh, what happened here? Okay. CZ Bear, we were going to be talking about what we were talking about last night and the information that was imparted last night. I'm going to show you something. These are steam bursts still at Mount Rainier today. These are steam bursts at Mount Rainier today. It's just like this yesterday. These steam bursts were just like this yesterday. Okay, you see the line going up, then it turns down, and then it veers off. That's a steam burst, and you can see them very clearly. You can see them very clearly. That's a steam burst, and it's been constant, literally all day long. And that's Mount Rainier. That's Rainier Voigt Creek. Okay. I'm going to show you another one. And I'm not going to show you the width of it because I'm trying to show it to you on my phone. I tried zooming into it. These are steam bursts at Mount Baker. Huge steam bursts at Mount Baker all day long today. The spike goes up, it comes down, and then it veers off. Spike goes up, comes down, and veers off. Those are steam burst signatures. Okay. You can see the red area. These are magma infills. See this red line here? This is magma coming into the volcano. Magma coming into the volcano amid the steam burst. And you can see each line, each thick line is magma coming into the volcano. And then we have these steam bursts all over the place. Some of you still probably won't be able to understand it. Like I said, there's no way possible during a 2-hour show unless we spent the entire 2 hours studying the different signatures that you're going to find on a seismogram. Again, it takes time. It takes time. And I've studied it. And sometimes I still have questions. All right. The other thing I want to talk about too is the earthquakes over at Yellowstone today. I'm not going to cover a whole lot of it because Mary Greeley did such an excellent job today. If you want to find out more about what happened at Yellowstone today, go to Mary Greeley's report on YouTube. She does an excellent job of reviewing it. She does an excellent job of reviewing exactly what is going on at Yellowstone National Park with the volcano. She'll show you these seismograms of various places, about 20 some odd places throughout the park. She'll show you what is going on, the earthquakes that are hitting all over the park. And they were significant today. There were a lot of twos, 2.6, 2.5, 2.4, literally all over the park. So with that, I'm not going to spend too much time. I will address some issues at Yellowstone Park a little bit later. But be advised, there were significant earthquake swarms that were greater than 2.0 today. And that's all they were. They were not above 3. 2.0 is called a minor earthquake. 3.0 to 3.9 is considered a small earthquake. 4.0 to 4.9 is considered a moderate earthquake. Now, some people have been concerned about webcams at volcanoes. I have spent a great deal of time trying to find them, but I can only do so much in a given day because I'm doing a lot of things at the same time, trying to find a lot of information to present to you. And I have not been able to find all of the webcams at the volcanoes. Now, there have been several people that did find the webcams, for example, for Mount Rainier, for Mount St. Helens, for Mount Baker. 4 webcams at Mount Baker, only 2 of them work. Now that's very typical. That's very typical. Terry and I have both found the same thing. We believe some of them are turned off so we don't see what is going on. Now, there's been a great deal of ground shifting at Mount Rainier. And the powers that be have called it landslides. Other people have called it avalanches. What it has been is been lahars. They've been lahars. So I want to point that out too. On the various sites, you're going to find the government, the road crews in Washington clearing the roadways so people can get up to the ski areas. And yes, they did open some ski areas on Monday. But what was going on there were lahars. Now, the powers that be didn't want to admit it, and so be it. They're always going to tell their side of the story. But you don't always have to believe what you see here on the YouTube or on Freedom Revolution or any other network. What I keep telling people and what Glenn Beck once told me is to challenge boldly. Challenge boldly, B-O-L-D-Y, boldly. Find out for yourself. Take the information that we give you and research it yourself. ZZ Bear says, Ron and Larry, this is Chris B. I can imagine that the experts are probably doing the same thing you folks do while looking at the data. Yet they are not telling anybody about it. And in the end, They will be held responsible for a lot of the loss of life. Very thankful for Ron, Larry, and Terry team hard at work. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Chris. And yes, it is a lot of work. I know today, with everything else that I was doing, including trying to get taxes done and everything else, I still put in about 6 hours doing research here. And my research is not over. It's just not. So if anyone wants to think that just because we see something that the research is over, it's far, far from being over. You cannot say that the research is over even if you find one particular piece of data. Because usually if there are many millions, thousands, millions of pieces of data that you have to piece together. You just can't have one thing and say, I found it. I found the answer. You might have found the answer to a part or just one question, but that's all. That's all. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. I hate saying that, but that's exactly the way it is. So I just want to make things very clear for everybody, because it's not fair to be able to give out information and not be able to clarify it all. And quite honestly, that's exactly what we're doing. I want to make it perfectly clear. Perfectly clear. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to get this here. People have been praising the information that this viewer put together, but I honestly, I want to make sure that you have the information, or I wouldn't even be bothering to do this. Wouldn't even be bothering to do this. Okay, just a second here. All right. Okay. This is one of the things that I talked about briefly yesterday. Terry and a few of our crew have been putting hours and hours of work into what can be termed as a risk assessment for Cascadia and the San Andreas Fault going. And we know it's going to. We know it's going to. It's a matter of time. But in the risk assessment, what they've done is try to put together a route. And like I told you last night, we're trying to put together maps. And when these maps are finished, we will publish those maps so everybody can see it. Terry and Larry and quite a few other people have been doing this research. Now, this may not sound like good news, but quite honestly, folks, this is the best chance for survival that you're going to have. It is the only safe way out. of California. Before even a few days ago, Terry had said that California was going to be destroyed, and it will be. It will be. After Cascadia triggers the San Andreas, California will cease to exist as we know it today. And prior to this, Terry has said that there's no way out unless you leave possibly as soon as today, tomorrow, or yesterday. But the following information is what I'm going to give you. What I'm going to give you now is the best that it gets right now. As Terry said, this disaster will be worse than you and I could ever think of. It is. Now, I've seen the video of a lot of earthquakes. Northridge, for example, the San Francisco earthquake, both in the early 1900s and in 1989. I've seen destruction, I've seen fires, I've seen loss of life. The coming earthquake will be nothing. The earthquakes that have happened prior to this won't even be able to compare to what's going on now and what's going to happen. Then you add the government trying to catch and control you, and then the roadblocks for civil unrest and thieves, and magma coming up all around you, and you're going to think that hell has frozen over. And indeed, you're probably going to be right. In this case, all routes lead to the same place, a relatively safe place that many will call sanctuary. For there's only one place that is going to be relatively safe in all of the western United States of the Cascades and for all of California. And I know there will be literally no way east after that main event for anyone except those who now reside in the eastern Oregon and eastern Washington area. The way east for the rest leads to certain death, not for one reason, but for many reasons. The many overlapping, insurmountable challenges of trying to go east and what guarantees death. I'm doing this as fast as we can. We're trying to prove and outline the relatively safe zones, proving the safe routes to the safe zones, and proving why you cannot go east. We will be releasing the data as a written package ahead of the maps being completed due to need to know demands of time. The maps will follow. There you go. There is my update, according to Terry. Now, someone said how we know that it's not fake news. Because we hear fake news 24/7 on 2 of the cable channels and all of the broadcast channels around. The relatively safe zone that we're talking about is approximately 14,000 square miles, or 2,880,000 acres, likely between 20% and 30% that is habitable. Call it 25%. Some is already inhabited. Call that 5%. That leaves you 20%. That is 500,000 excuse me again, I'm sorry. That is 576,000 square miles, 640 acres to a mile. That is 36,864,000 acres. Quote, I had to check the math myself. It's almost 37 million acres. That is completely doable. These last few messages are from Terry. So now you got it. That's the information. Now, in my conversation with Terry yesterday, if people attempt to leave Southern California, headed directly east, you're going to be met with damaged roads. You're going to be met with earthquake, fissures opened up. You're going to be met with magma, because we have magma flowing underneath the ground from San Diego out towards Arizona. The Salton Sea, Cerro Prado volcano in northern Mexico, and any other volcanoes that happen to erupt. You're going to be met by earthquakes that have opened up all over Southern California, all the way through Northern California. You think Northridge and the other earthquakes in and around Los Angeles County in the last 30 or 40 years were terrible? After Cascadia goes and triggers the San Andreas fault, you may think that those other earthquakes were a bed of roses. And they were not. I'm not going to lie to you, they were not. Now, again, I'm going to tell you there's magma infilling going on right literally beneath our feet. In almost every case in California, Oregon, Washington, parts of Nevada, Utah. Again, we have volcanoes in southern and central Utah. We have geothermal spots in northern Utah. We have one of the biggest earthquake faults in the country, being the Wasatch Fault that runs along the west side of the Salt Lake Valley, going all the way down to central Utah and up to the Idaho border. Now, we've explained to you before what happens when the Cascadia goes. West of Interstate 5 is going to be bad, very bad. And you need to be aware of it. We've been talking about it. Chris Goldfinger, right before Christmas, had a presentation in San Francisco where he explained the eventualities with Cascadia and the San Andreas Fault. He explained it. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And then, besides the earthquakes, the shaking, the tidal waves along the coast, tsunamis along the coast, and then the subsidence, the land sinking. This is already happening in some parts of Southern California, the San Fernando Valley, for example. You can go to the YouTube videos and hear the seismologist trying to explain what's going on in the San Fernando County. San Fernando Valley area. That is occurring because they have been drilling there. They've been pulling oil and gas out of that underneath that land. And the land is subsiding, it's lowering. A lot of acres of land has lowered. The concrete slabs the homes are on are breaking, cracking walls, and everything else. Hold on just a minute. We've got a call here coming through. Hello, Terry. Hey, how's it going, my friend?
About that root and paper stuff.
Yes. Okay. East. Right. Uh-huh. Okay. 1.7 million acres. Okay. Yeah. Instead of 37 million acres, folks, it should be 1.7 million acres. I've got Terry Rempel on the line right now. Terry, you're not on the air right now, unless you want to be. So, yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, you can't go west. Yeah. 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 I'm trying to explain that now on the air, and I'm hoping people understand it. That they won't be able to go east until they get up to at least Redding. At least Redding. I'm sorry, you won't be able to go west until you get up to Redding. Okay, and then there's a short area between Redding and what's the town in Oregon? Yeah, due west of Red Bluff. Yeah, the north boundary is south of Selma. So, yeah. And due north of Red Bluff is also good, Terry says. So that's what's going on. But we will have more information forthcoming. More information and maps will be forthcoming. But right now, we wanted to give you what information we had, because previously Terry and I had put out that California is not safe, and it basically isn't. You get around the Anza Gap and Riverside area, forget it. Just forget it. You won't be able to get there. You won't be able to even get near it. It'll be devastated, folks. It will be. Mhm. Right. Right. That's what I've said. There is no safe way east after this earthquake hits, or these earthquakes, multiple quakes hit. You just can't. You just can't, and you won't. For those government agencies that are listening, and I've spoken to quite a few of you emergency managers, you need to understand this and be able to pass it on to your people, to the residents of your communities and counties. And you need to make plans accordingly. Well, we appreciate it, Terry. Thank you so much, my friend. God bless you. Bye. Anyway, that was Terry Rempel. He was just updating us on some information. He wrote some of this information in his sleep, he said, and he wanted to come back out and say not 37 million acres, 1.7 million acres is available. And there's no safe way going east after these earthquakes hit. And I've tried figuring out too. Terry has looked at all of the PNSN seismograms. Terry has looked at all of the USGS seismograms, GSN helioplots. Terry has looked at the University of Berkeley seismograms. He's looked at the Caltech seismograms as well. He's done the research, as have I. Now, I have not studied as many. Like I said, I've not studied as many as Terry has. Today, I've gotten to maybe 60 or 70, quite honestly. But even I can't get to all of them. There's too many other things that I have to bring out. As this thing gets closer, I probably will be spending more time on all of these seismograms, because I will be wanting to impart basically emergency information as it becomes available. And when someone asked me the question today, at what point in time am I going to call it and tell everybody to get the hell out of Dodge? Excuse my French. I am not going to cry wolf when crying wolf is not necessary. And I will never cry wolf. When it's time to go, you're going to probably already know it before I tell you. And when I tell you, it's probably going to be too late, because you only have hours to get the heck out of Dodge. You're going to only have hours to get out of Dodge. So folks, we've talked about emergency plans. You need to be making these emergency plans right now. You should have already been started making these emergency plans. I can't make them for you. I can try to give you information to make it a little bit easier for you. And that's what we're trying to do. But I can't write it for you. Only you can do that. What are you going to choose to do and why? How are you going to do it? Are you going to shelter in and ride this earthquake out? Are you too close to the coast, or are you going to have to leave before this earthquake hits? Because once Cascadia hits up in Washington and Oregon, you've got 20 minutes before the tsunami hits. Yeah, you've got 15, 20 minutes. That's not going to be adequate time to get out of Dodge. Besides that, roads are going to be interrupted. Fissures will be popping up in the middle of roads and everywhere else. Bridges are either going to go down, but if they don't go down, the entrances and exits to the bridge will be obliterated and will be impassable. Like we've said before, bicycles, and I'm not talking about speed bikes, road bikes, I'm talking about mountain bikes, gators, four-wheel drive vehicles will be the only thing that's going to be even passable in some cases. If you got a deep enough river, you're out of luck. As Larry Smith says, 3 days ago we thought there was no safe place in California anywhere. We found one place that is survivable, but with some hardship. You can check it out now and go there. After the event, there will be only one way to the safe place. With bad roads and no bridges, you'll be on foot with only what you can carry. And it's a long way around. But out of the crowded byways and freeways and stuff, you're kind of stuck. There's no other way that you're going to be able to go and live. And you have to be ready for these eventualities. I just am trying to be honest with you. Child of God in quote 1, there's no such town called Lopok down next to San Diego. I used to live there. There's no such city or town near San Diego. If you want to message me later, we can talk about that area and why you want to know about that area, and I'll talk to you about it. Not a problem. But what I'm trying to do is give you some options. It is now, okay, Child of God, you say it's near Santa Maria, Maria, Santa Maria, California. There's a town out east of there called Lompoc. It's out near the air base where they launch missiles there in Northern California. That's nowhere near San Diego. It's up in Northern California. In fact, it's not even in Northern California. Santa Maria is over near Santa Barbara. And that air base is out east of there, Lompoc. They've got a federal penitentiary out there. Anyway, I'm glad I could help you with that. But folks, are you going to shelter in or are you going to try to get out? Are you going to bug out? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to? Where do you want to go to? Do you have a way to get out now? Do you have another place that you could go where you might be able to find work and get out of Dodge now? What are you going to be able to take with you? Are you going to be able to rent a truck to be able to leave? I doubt it. Why do I say that? Because there are a lot of people that have already left California. And there's not too many U-Hauls and various other moving trucks that are going east right now. And if they do have them, they're going to be expensive. Going to be expensive. What I want to tell you is you need to make plans. And I know the economy is going to affect you. What is your economic situation? No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know your particular economic situation, but that's something that you and your family must assess. What is your economic situation? How are you going to get out of Dodge? Do you have a job waiting someplace else, or are you going to be able to find work someplace else that you're going to migrate to? Because that's what this is, in all essence, is a migration. A migration to escape disaster. And again, I'm not going to be one to preach doom and gloom. I don't want to be one to preach the end of the world. I'm not going to do fear porn at all. I'm just pointing out eventualities. What are you going to do? And how are you going to do it? I want you to prepare. Preparation is 9/10 of the problem. If you can get past that part of the problem, you got it made. If you can get past that part of it, you have it made. And I'd rather have that put into place where you can get out and have a job, some means of being able to support yourself. Okay. Now, Marion G. Romney said this a lot of years ago: self-reliance is not the end, but it's a means to an end. It is very possible for a person to be completely independent and lack every other desirable attribute. One may become wealthy and never have to ask anyone for anything. But unless there is some spiritual goal attached to the independence, it can canker his soul. Let me repeat that. One may become wealthy and never have to ask anyone for anything. But unless there is some spiritual goal attached to the independence, it can canker one's soul. One of my mother's cousins, who's my second cousin and a very dear friend, L. Tom Perry, has said, independence and self-reliance are critical to our spiritual and temporal growth. Whenever we get into situations which threaten our self-reliance, we will find our freedoms threatened as well. If we increase our dependence on anything or anyone except the Lord, we'll find an immediate decrease in our freedom to act. Heber J. Grant declared, nothing destroys the individuality of man or a woman or a child as much as a failure to be self-reliant. We're talking about self-reliance here. Being able to take care of yourself, not have to depend on anybody else, except the Lord, of course. I want you to be able to have the blessings of God. But God's not going to bless you unless you take care of yourself first. You have to do everything you can to help yourself, and then the Lord's going to bless you like all get out. So quite frankly, folks, you need to have a plan. You need to financially figure out how you're going to do it, and then work your plan. Exercise your plan. Now, you can say exercise all you want, but do you really understand what that means? Have a drill, practice it, practice your plan. Once you write your plan, practice it, see if it works. If it doesn't completely work, revise it. Even the best plans, and I'm talking even the best plans that we can have, are fraught with inadequacies, something that we forgot to do, something we forgot to plan, something we forgot to put in our possession. That's what we're talking about here. Plan, 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 and replan. Exercise your plan. Whenever I've done disaster drills, no matter where I've been, wherever we've done disaster drills, we always have what we call an AAR after the drill is over, an after action report. This is a method of assessing what we've done during our drill with our plan, with our emergency plan, and what we need to do to revise that plan to make it even better when the disaster hits, or when we do another disaster drill. In your case, we all are planning for a major catastrophe. And a catastrophe it will be. It will be a worse catastrophe if you're not ready. And I'm not going to plant a bed of roses. As you see, I don't have rose-colored glasses on. I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to help you. That is why we're here. That was the biggest part of why we started this program, is to give you ideas and help in planning. And we've been at this nearly 10 months. Nearly 10 months. Actually, it has been 10 months. April 3rd last year is when we first started our broadcast. But now, folks, we're down to almost the last inning of this ball game. We're way past the beginning of the fourth quarter. We might have 18 minutes. And I'm talking in generality. 18 hours, 18 days. I don't think we have 18 months. I know we don't have 18 months. And I don't think we have even 18 weeks. Things are happening and continue to happen. But folks, you need to get ready. And you need to do it now. G.T. Bird said it right. Get in touch with your county emergency manager, their emergency management team. And it might be your city emergency management team. And some of them might think that you're crazy. Now, I'm working with several emergency managers. Actually, quite a few emergency managers. They listen to this program too, and they call me. They talk to me and ask me what I think, and I tell them. If you are a city or a county within the sound of my voice, 9 times out of 10, you'll already have an emergency plan. Take the dadgum thing off the shelf, read it, go through it with all of your department heads, fire chiefs, police chiefs, and your politicians in your city. Go through it with your street department, with your planning department, with your parks and rec department, public works departments, all of the department heads. Go through your plan. Then those department heads that are listening to me, you need to talk with your employees of your departments about the emergency plan. Then all of you need to exercise that plan. and do it soon. Like I said, I don't think you have 18 weeks. You might have 18 days. Do it now. Don't do it later. Later will be too late. You folks in your cities and towns, you emergency managers and department heads of your city and town and county, get your emergency supplies now. If you have emergency supplies, go through the emergency supply lists and make sure you have everything. If you've forgotten it, get it. If you don't have it, get it. Okay. BJ Blake says, I wonder if DHS watches. Yes, they do. Why do I know that? Because I used to be part of them. And sometimes we talk. Sometimes we talk. Yes, I know DHS. I know the cities and counties. Listen. Folks, do it now. Get your emergency plans off the shelf, dust them off, read it, go through it, discuss it with your department heads, discuss it with your employees, and then exercise your plan. Get the media involved. Get your local media involved. Advise them what you're going to do. Hold a news conference and enlist their help and the help of your city residents. Before an emergency, the residents of your community can be a great help. They can play parts, role play, being injured. That way, paramedics, nursing staffs, hospital staffs, doctors' offices, and clinics can exercise their expertise in triage and taking care of wounded, ambulatory and non-ambulatory wounded. You can exercise the idea of transporting victims, transporting people out of certain areas that you know are going to be destroyed or impassable. How are you going to transport those people? City buses, maybe. School buses, maybe. But what if the roads are destroyed? What if you have a fissure open up in the middle of the road? What if one of the rivers is flooded because of the earthquake? Or a creek is flooded? What are you going to do, and how are you going to get through it? What plans do you have? Folks that are not part of the cities, counties, and towns, include this in your emergency family plans. What are you going to do? How are you going to deal with it? Make sure even your little children are part of this. Make sure they have an emergency preparedness kit of their own. With little children, make sure they have books and coloring books and small toys, and quite honestly, even small stuffed animals to help comfort them. When you do drills with them, knowing that you probably will be living in tents, set up a tent in your front room. If you are in a warm climate area, set it up in your backyard. Tell them you're going to exercise an emergency preparedness plan. And it'll be like camping. During an emergency, you might not be able to be in your house, but you're going to be living in your tent. It's like camping. Prepare your children so they won't be afraid. I want like all get out for everyone to be safe, for everyone to have those plans. But I know doggone well that that's probably not reality. But I'm trying. I'm at least discussing with you. And I'm trying to help you as best I can. Now, we will continue to have these discussions. This is not the last, and it's definitely not the first. We've been talking about this for a long, long time. Like I said, it's not the first, it's not the last, it's not going to be the last. But you need to be ready. You need to be ready. What are you doing? How long is it going to take for you to be ready? What are you doing now to be ready? The time is far spent. There is little time remaining. There's an old church hymn. Starts off like that. I don't remember all the words, but you get the gist of what we're talking about. What about your emergency kits? We've told you about your little ones, making sure they have an emergency backpack, something that is theirs. We talked about having an emergency kit near your beds in case you have to evacuate in the middle of the night. Your little children's backpack should be at the bottom of their bed. And they don't touch it unless there's an emergency, or unless you have an emergency drill with them, that they know the importance of that backpack and don't take anything out of it. And if they do, they put something back in it to replace it. That is their emergency kit for their safety and their well-being. But you as parents have to carry everything else in yours because their little bodies won't be able to carry everything that you adults can carry and the older children can carry. Everyone has a piece of this emergency plan. But you as parents and adults and older children, you have the responsibility to help plan this, to help put together your emergency kits. Because during the real emergency, you're going to be involved, heavily involved. You have to be ready. Excuse me. No, I don't have any virus right now. My throat's just dry. Folks, I'm serious. I'm serious as a heart attack. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. We talked about supplies, 72-hour kits. Yeah, we've talked about 72-hour kits. My Patriot Supply is one of our sponsors. They have 72-hour kits. They have kits for 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, 2 years. You need to really consider it. 4 Patriots has similar equipment, similar food. I highly recommend it too. And there are many other companies. Get your supplies now. Canned goods can be heavy. If you have prepackaged stuff that doesn't have a lot of water content, that's a lot less heavy, you're going to be better off. But make sure you have water supplies, at least 1 gallon of water for every person. 1 gallon of water for every person for every day. And And for all intents and purposes, including hygiene, that triples to 3 gallons per person per day. Yeah, you can ration it and maybe get by with 1 gallon, but you're going to be doing really good to be able to do that. I'm just trying to be realistic and try to help you. I want you to survive. I want you to do well. But I'm hoping that you are going to prepare. I am hoping that you're listening to this message. I am hoping that you're paying attention. And for some of you, I hope you're writing things down. Write it down. Share it. Take this video and share it high and low. Make it go viral. Make it go viral. Share it with your family and extended family, your friends, your neighbors. Encourage people to come to this channel. Whatever channel you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Z or D Live, Twitch, Periscope, whether you're watching it on Freedom Revolution Network Live, whether you're listening to it over on iHeartRadio or Pandora, share the information with your friends. Have them listen to it. It's going to bless their lives. It's going to bless their lives. Robert Baxter says he's got 7 72-hour kits. That's awesome. Now double that. Double it. You're probably going to need it. I don't know how many children you have or how many people are in your family. If there's 2 of you, excuse me, I'm sorry. If there's 2 of you, that 72-hour kit or those 72-hour kits will go probably a long way. Just quite frankly, 1 meal I can make last 2. I can make that food last 2 meals. I'm pretty good at that. I've used my 72-hour kits before, and I've replenished those 72-hour kits. The food is good for 25 years. You can replace it though. If you use it, replace it. That's the key. With your emergency supplies at home, if you use something out of the supply kit, whether it's food or bandages or whatever it might be, replace it. If you have stuff with expiration dates, cans and such, check the expiration dates. Use it before the expiration date and replace it with something new. Don't buy food that your family is not going to eat, something that they don't like. Make sure it's something that they're going to like, something that they're going to eat. The worst part of a disaster is having something you don't like. It's bad enough on your psyche to have the disaster happen, but having food you don't like makes it worse. ZZ Bear, Chris, Ron, I took your advice about masks. I went to Rite Aid on Monday. They said they were out surgical, yet they had work masks behind the counter and were only allowing purchase of 1 package per person. When I got the mask, I saw it in the package. It was a 2 N95 masks. That's just what I wanted, especially for volcanic ash. I thought I'd let you know about my preps on that. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I would keep trying to get more and more masks. Yes, they might only let you have one package today. Wait a couple days and see if you can go get some more and more and more. Go to other places too. Okay. So check that out. GT Bird, I love Celtic music. I follow Celtic women. I love their music. They're great. GT Bird says Harbor Freight is going to have a sale starting tomorrow. Now, many times Harbor Freight is a nationwide sale. Check it out. I haven't checked the sale brochures that came in the mail today, the flyers that came in the mail. But if they're selling boxes of nitrate gloves for $5.99, that's dirt cheap. That's dirt cheap. Go. Don't walk, run. Get get the supplies that you need. But remember, don't cut yourself short when it comes to money. Besides money being valuable, the lack of money can hurt. Stay within your budget. Budget yourself. Some people don't know what budgets are. They spend money they don't have on things that are ridiculous. Yes, GT Bird says Harbor Freight sells all kinds of survival stuff, very reasonable. Flashlights, tarps, solar lights, batteries. The batteries are very inexpensive, folks. I get batteries from Harbor Freight all day long. That's a little excessive, but yes, I get it all. I get supplies from there all the time. All the time. Someone posted a blurb on our messenger here talking about the Department of Defense has set up mass quarantine camps throughout the United States. Yes, they have. Rightly so. And I'm glad they have. Atlanta has 2 or 3 people under observation right now, not quarantined. They're under observation in their homes after they return from China. They're under observation. You need to be aware of that. Mary Greeley reported today that people in Montana and North Dakota were under observation as well. I pointed out yesterday that there were 3 military bases in California: Travis, March, and Miramar Marine Corps Air Station, San Diego. All 3 places, military bases are being used to quarantine people. Last week, I made it well known that the San Francisco Emergency Operations Center had been opened after they found out that they were going to be receiving people from China, and people were returning. San Francisco has one of the largest Chinese populations in the United States, rightly so. Other emergency operations centers are also opening. Other EOCs at hospitals and various other institutions have opened to take care of populations, rightly so. Folks, you need to know what's going on. I don't fear the DOD quarantine facilities. There's a lot of talk out there of people being seized off the streets. Right now, it's not going to happen. The only way that's going to happen is if things really get bad and there's COVID-19 all over in every state and city. Then things could get really bad. But again, are you prepared? Are you prepared to take care of yourself and your family? Do you have the preparedness supplies? Do you have food? Do you have your plans? Do you have gold, silver, ammunition, and guns, as Dave Hodges likes to tell you? What are you doing to protect yourself? And yes, I use the word GUNS. On this channel, I can do that. When it gets over to the other channel, or the other venues, we'll see. But I'm going to tell you like it is. You need to protect yourself and have a plan to do it. And if you don't have a plan, you better get one. You better get the supplies that are necessary to do it. Exercise your plan. For those of you that are going to prepare to protect yourself with guns, if you have the guns, you need training. Go to the ranges immediately and get training. Indoor, outdoor ranges. If it's nice weather outside, go to the outdoor ranges. If it's not, go to the indoor ranges. Make sure you're properly trained. Don't be prepared to, or don't even think you're prepared to protect yourself if you haven't had training, because you're only going to hurt yourself and your family. Okay? I'm telling you. I'm being honest with you. I'm a former weapons specialist. I was an instructor. I know what I'm talking about. What are you doing to help yourself? What are you doing to help others? The greatest blessings are going to come to you that are able to help yourselves and to help others. That's where the real truth and heroism lies, is when you're able to take care of yourself and others as well. Get your supplies, get your emergency preparedness plans online, not off the internet necessarily. Yes, they're on the internet. We've had the preparedness planning on our YouTube channel. We've had it over on our, we've had emergency preparedness kits we talked about on our channel. We will be going over more. This is not over by a long shot. But I'm going to ask you again, what are you doing? What are you doing? Larry's talking about 500 doctors in Wuhan tested positive for the virus. The suits don't help. The suits might have helped to a certain extent, but how many people did they treat? Did the doctors take off their gloves and their suits the same way each time and then disinfect themselves adequately every time they got in and out of their suits? It's not always the suit's problem. How are they protecting themselves? I'm going to ask that of you. What are you doing to protect yourselves? Are you washing your hands frequently? Are you touching your face after you touch something else that you may or may not have or should have touched? What are you doing to protect yourselves? Do you have small cuts and abrasions on your hands, your arms, your legs, your feet, your everything, your face? What are you doing to protect yourself? Yes, I've got a little cut right here. Cut myself shaving. I'm not touching it, except I just did now. But I also washed my hands before I did this show. And yes, GT Bird says they're welding doors and windows of homes shut and buildings shut in China, making sure people don't leave. And some of these people don't have food. The government hasn't checked to see if they have supplies. And they might be starving and dying without food and water. J2 T-Bird says cross-contamination, exactly. And I'm sorry to say that society has not always been honest about what they've done and what they're doing. Yes, GT Bird, we touch our faces 3,000 times a day. That doesn't surprise me at all. I've lost track of the number of times I've touched my face, and I've tried. Just today, I've lost track. But what are each of us doing? How are we trying to protect ourselves and our family? Do we leave dirty dishes all over the place, not wipe down counters, keep things sanitary around our own homes, in the kitchen and the bathrooms and everywhere else? How clean is our home? If it's not, it needs to be. If it's not today, it better be tonight. We need to take action now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be too late. If our children and our grandchildren are precious to us, what are we doing to help preserve ours and their lives? And I keep asking that question because I hope that all of you are grown up enough to be able to answer that question and do something about it. And G2 Bird said they waited a month to admit they had a problem. Some of the doctors and nurses were taking care of issues, but they weren't given the adequate support and backup that they needed to do it. And by the time they did, it was too late. And it's still too late. And they're still not reporting the exact numbers. The numbers are a lot higher than 60,000 people that have been infected. The numbers are a lot higher than 30,000 people that are critical. The numbers are a lot higher than 1,200 that are dead, or 1,600 that are dead. I don't know what the numbers are today. I haven't even looked since this morning. But they haven't even been honest about that. I saw a video yesterday of these people putting 3 young men in burial bags. That pissed me off. That just upset me. And then what I think I saw is one of those boys moving. And if that's the case, they're sentencing people to death before they're even dead. There's a problem. If the funeral homes are correct, and I'd rather take their numbers than what the state is, the funeral home numbers are correct. They're cremating 600 and 700 people a day. A day. The satellites are picking up information at the SO2 levels, the carbon or sulfur dioxide levels are off the charts, caused by the burning of the bodies. And then there's also other things that are being burned. Contaminated suits and masks and gloves and whatever else that is being burned. That is an issue in and of itself. We're not getting even half the accurate information. We're not. We're not. But what are we doing ourselves to make sure it doesn't happen in our own country? And I understand this is a worldwide problem. I'm not talking for just citizens here in the United States. The first half of the program Yes, I was talking about people in the United States, California, Oregon, and Washington, and parts east. Even though in California, if you go east after the earthquake, you're not going to be able to go. You're stuck. And you're probably going to die. Fact. Okay? What are you going to do? When we get the maps and everything, we will post them all over the place. And we hope you will help us and make it go viral. But what are you going to do now with what knowledge that we have to save your own lives, whether it be from COVID-19 or with the earthquakes and all the other stuff that's going on, the political crises that continue happening, because some people want us to become a socialist country here in the United States. And it's been a proven fact that socialism doesn't work. No matter where they've had it, whether it be South America, Russia, China, Cuba, Venezuela, it doesn't work. It never has, never will. We can't let the United States of America become a socialist state. It can't happen. And if it does, we're all screwed. And I hate talking politics, but that's a gosh awful truth. But we talk about everything on this channel, on this program. And since we've gone to this venue, we can talk about whatever we want. And I don't care what the other venues say. I just don't. I just don't care. I'm trying to save lives. That's my only thought. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to save lives. Now, with that said, let me talk about some earthquakes. We're over 3/4 through with this presentation tonight. We haven't even talked earthquakes. Okay, let's talk about volcanoes and then we'll go to earthquakes. We've gone to the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, folks. Right up at the top here is Reventador in Ecuador. We have Reventador and Sangay volcano in northern Ecuador that have been erupting for quite some time. Okay. Volcanic ash is reported in Vona in Ecuador. Okay. Popocatépetl in Mexico. Emissions observed via satellite. Yes, I've even seen pictures, folks. Popocatépetl in Mexico, southeast Mexico, is erupted. Aso or Asosan volcano in Japan. Possible activity. Okay, I know for a fact it's erupting. Merapi volcano is not unheard of. It erupted last time last year. It's erupting again today. Volcanic ash up to 16,000 feet was observed today. Volcanic ash eruption at Merapi volcano in Indonesia today. Here's Sangay volcano in Ecuador. I told you about that. Okay, volcanic ash emissions observed in satellites up in Ecuador, Sangay and Reventador here. Dukono volcano in Indonesia has been continuously erupting anywhere from 7,000 to 8,000 feet. Today it was 8,000 feet. It's continuous volcanic ash eruptions of Dukono volcano. So we have Dukono, we got Merapi, and that's not the only ones in Indonesia. Sabancaya in Peru, unable to detect, but I'm telling you it's erupting. It's unable to detect, because they have clouds and things obscuring the volcano right now. Again, Popocatépetl via webcams, it's observed. Let's go down here a little bit here. We talked about these volcanoes now. And every time they erupt, it's posted. It's posted. Fuego volcano in Guatemala. No volcanic ash observed today via satellite, but it is still in the process of erupting. Fuego volcano, the volcano of fire in Guatemala. Let's scroll through here. Sakurajima in Japan. We talked about Asosan in Japan. Sakurajima is erupting. Erupted up to 8,000 feet today. Erupted up to 8,000 feet. Okay, Sakurajima in Japan. Krakatau in Indonesia. Eruptions observed by ground observers. Krakatau has been erupting for quite some time now. It's not always reported, but it's been erupting or in some stage of erupting for quite some time. So that's 3 volcanoes there in Indonesia. Again, let's go down here. Now we're into Monday. Now these are only the reports that they're posting here on the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center. Okay. If you go over to the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center application on your phone, I'm going to show you that in just a second here. Volcanoes and earthquakes. It's the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center on your phone. You're going to see even more information than what they give you online here. We go over to the news section. At the top of this page on your application on the phone, it has list, map, news, and A to Z. List, map, news, and A to Z. We go over to the volcano news. Again, we have Reventador at the top of the page. Reventador and Sangay volcano in Ecuador are erupting. Merapi and Dukono in Indonesia, as well as Krakatau in Indonesia. We talked about Popocatépetl, Aso volcano in Japan, as well as Sakurajima there. Let's see here. Ubinas volcano in Peru. Activity update. Recorded descent of a lahar. Okay, traveled lahar down the southeast flank from Ubinas volcano in Peru. The IGP reported that seismic stations recorded internal tremors associated with the descent of a lahar, mud flows of a moderate volume, which formed down again the southeast flank of the volcano. So Ubinas volcano is very near Sabancaya in southern Peru. So we've got two different volcanoes that are erupting in Peru that were not shown on the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center online. Huayna Putina volcano in Peru. This is the 3rd volcano in Peru. Lahars traveled down the southern sector of the volcano. IGP reported that the seismic stations recorded internal tremors associated with the descent of mud flows down the volcano of moderate volume. Okay, that's Huayna Putina volcano in Peru. Now, this is another volcano that we have not addressed in a while over in the area of the, what is that ocean? It's not the Aegean Sea, over on the south side of France. The south side of France between Africa and France. But Piton de la Fournaise on La Réunion Island. Piton de la Fournaise on Réunion Island. Volcanic activity update. Effusive eruption of the volcano continues. Incandescence, meaning magma coming down the side of the Piton de la Fournaise. Okay, that's what's happening there. I want to make sure you see that. This is on Réunion Island, just north of Africa. This island is owned by the French government. It's got a volcano, Piton de la Fournaise. Okay. We talked about Asosan. We've talked about Reventador. Sabancaya in Peru we've talked about. Let's see what else here. Okay, I'm just going through here. I don't want to include anything that happened yesterday, Monday. Here's a picture of Sabancaya in Peru erupting. This was yesterday. Sabancaya volcano in Peru. We don't always get to see pictures of the volcanoes, and so when we have these pictures, I want to show them to you. February 11th, today. Actually, it was yesterday. Today's the 12th. This is Wednesday the 12th. I'm sorry. I think I said this was Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Anyway, Tuesday the 11th, Popocatépetl in southeast Mexico. An explosion with magma fragments going into the air and down the side of the volcano. This is Popocatépetl in Mexico. Piton de la Fournaise, Réunion Island. There is the eruption going on there. Okay. Lava flows on the eastern flank of that volcano. Okay, here. Schiehalden volcano. Actually, this was on Monday, but I'll talk about it right now. On Monday, Schiehalden volcano over on the southern end, the western end of the Alaska Peninsula, near Unalaska, Unalaska, Unalaska. The Alaska Volcano Observatory reported that no significant eruptive activity has occurred over the past 24 hours. No significant seismic data has been detected. Weekly elevated surface temperatures and a small steam plume were observed in satellite images, but no huge pyroclastic eruptions showed, only a steam eruption. The Alaska Volcanic Observatory notes that it remains possible for unrest to escalate at any time at the Schiehalden volcano with little warning. Additional lava flows, lahars, and ash-producing eruptive events may continue at Schiehalden volcano. So that's the report for that. So now you got the latest. So let's review. Let's review the volcanoes. Let's go over to Mexico. Let's go over to the eastern side of the Pacific. We've got Popocatépetl, we've got Fuego, Mexico and Guatemala. We have Ubinas and Sabancaya volcanoes in Peru. In Ecuador, just north of Peru, we have Sangay and Reventador. So we have 6 on the eastern side of the Pacific. Let's go over to the other side. Let's go over to the west. And we also need to mention that Etna volcano in Italy, Sicily, and Stromboli volcano are erupting. So there's 2 over there. Plus we got Piton de Fournaise. That's 3. That's 3 basically in Europe. Then we go over to Indonesia, where we've got Krakatau, Dukono, and Merapi volcanoes. That's 3 more, that's 6. We have Asosan, and we have Sakurajima in Japan. That's 5. Okay, they're not telling us about anything up in Ebico volcano in the Kuril Islands. They're not telling us anything about anything over in Russia. So we have 5 in the east, including what's over in Europe. And we've got 6 in the west and 6 in the east. Okay, that's 11 volcanoes. That's quite a dip from a couple of weeks ago when we had 22 volcanoes. Okay, let's go over here and take a look at earthquakes real quick. I want to show you that. Okay, we're going to go down here. Let's go down here over to Lombaza, Fiji. Lombaza, Fiji. We had a 4.8, moderate 4.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Lombaza, Fiji early this morning. This earthquake was 549 kilometers beneath the surface. So we go over to the depth to magnitude conversion chart and go over to 549, at which we see a 1.1 magnitude that we're going to add to this. So now we're going to see a 5.9 magnitude earthquake coming out of this earthquake in Lombaza, Fiji today. A more shallow and a lot stronger earthquake coming out of this. So now we have 3 earthquakes here in Fiji that are going to be producing larger, shallower earthquakes in the coming days or week. So we're going to look for that. We're going to be looking for that. We've also had another 5.2, large 5.2 magnitude earthquake over here in the Fiji Islands. Okay, so we got to look at that. We have to look at that. They're not even talking to us about anything that's happened over in New Zealand, which we have. Over in the Kermadec, we've had some moderate earthquakes, but they're not even showing that on this map. And if anybody's interested, we can talk about those earthquakes tomorrow, which we will. Because today we talked about more emergency preparedness stuff, which is what I wanted to talk about. Over here in Japan, we've had a 5.2 earthquake. This was 34 kilometers southeast of Nami, Japan. This is over, let me expand this map just a little bit. This earthquake was just off the coast of central Japan here. Tokyo's down here, where you see my cursor. This is off the coast of Nami, Japan. This was 34 kilometers southeast of Nami, Japan, which is about 20 miles off the coast. This was a large earthquake, and I've explained this before. The seismic energy is dampened by the effect of water around the epicenter of the earthquake. They probably did feel a lot of seismic activity over on the mainland of Japan, but nothing as much as it could have been if it had struck on land. If it would have struck on land in Japan, there'd be quite a bit of damage. This did not do that, and there was no tsunami warning issued for that area. Now, we already know that the USGS is not going to tell us about all the earthquakes that happened over here around the world. But we know for a fact that we've had earthquakes over here in Papua Indonesia, central Indonesia, Java. We know we've had earthquakes over here in the Philippines. They're not telling us about. Over here in northern Sumatra, Padang Zidampan, Indonesia, northern Java, a 4.5 magnitude earthquake, a moderate earthquake. Over here near where we had an earthquake a few days ago, we have another one, a 4.3 magnitude earthquake hit over here in the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Myanmar, Burma area, and off of India. However, they're saying this is 187 kilometers southeast of Port Blair, India. Okay, nowhere near the actual Indian coast here. Okay. Over here in Hawaii. Actually, let's go over here. We've had some other earthquakes that we need to show you. We need to show you today. Over here in Rasht, Iran, near the Caspian Sea, we've had a 4.3 moderate earthquake here. Also, it needs to be told that over here in the Caspian, up here in the northern Caspian Sea, they've had what they are calling a biblical proportion event where the sea turned blood red. Blood red. We had a report of that today. Okay. Don't know why they're talking about algae or bacteria buildup. Don't know yet. Don't know yet. Over here in Hawaii, again, they're not being honest and telling us about the number of earthquakes over here in Hawaii. There are a great number of earthquakes. None of them hugely substantial. The majority of earthquakes here in Hawaii were around Pahala. Again, Kilauea is infilling. We have earthquakes. Had a number of earthquakes there in Hawaii today. Okay. Over here in South America, Chile, Peru area, we've had a number of earthquakes they're not reporting. Over here in Central America, Larry, we've had a 4.5 in Masachapa, Nicaragua, southwest of Masachapa, Nicaragua, approximately 74 kilometers south-southwest, Nicaragua. So this again was out in the ocean and right near the earthquake fault here. Another earthquake just north of there, 4.3 moderate quake, 62 kilometers, approximately 40 miles west-southwest of Corinto, Nicaragua. This one in South America, this is nothing new. This is in the middle of this swarm. There's a huge swarm of earthquakes here in southern Mexico. We've reported on it day after day. This is a 4.2 magnitude earthquake. It was on land, 9 kilometers approximately 4.5 miles east of Nuevo Chiranamuco, Mexico. This was on land. Okay. We've had numerous earthquakes over here in Puerto Rico again today. Okay. I'm going to enlarge this map just a little bit here to give you a better idea of what happened over there. Also over here, just north of the Mona Passage here. This is the Mona Passage between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico here. Just north of the Mona Passage, we've had a 4.3 earthquake there, 63 kilometers, about 35 miles northwest of Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, and another one just north of that, a 3.3 magnitude quake, 77 kilometers, approximately 40 miles northwest of San Antonio, Puerto Rico. Both of these may be aftershocks of the 6.3 earthquake that hit last August during Hurricane Maria, the same night as Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. And again, they're still having earthquakes just west off the southwest coast of Puerto Rico. I've had a call yesterday. I've not been able to return the call to Dominic or contact with the Puerto Rican Police Agency. We're going to try to talk to him again tomorrow about Puerto Rico. And I'm sure he has a lot of great information for us. Okay, let's go over here. The good old USGS is only telling us about a 3.1 magnitude earthquake in Julian this afternoon. But we also had a 2.7 just north of Julian in Borrego Springs here. Both of these in East San Diego County. Borrego Springs somewhat on the northeast side of San Diego County. Julian on the east side of San Diego County. Julian is the Apple capital of San Diego. But again, they're not telling us about any earthquakes anywhere here in California, which is their mistake. Over here in Texas, we've had two minor earthquakes, a 2.8, 15 kilometers, 7 miles north of Pecos, Texas. And in Pecos, Texas, just south of there, we have a 2.7 magnitude earthquake, so 32 kilometers. Again, this is about 20 miles southeast of Pecos. Okay, so we've had minor earthquake activity there. They're not reporting anything here in Oklahoma. We know for a fact there's about 7 earthquakes right now that have happened today in Oklahoma as well. Also over here in Tennessee. Again, this has nothing to do with the San Andreas. This has everything to do with the southeastern part of the North American Craton. Now, I haven't shown you this in a while. Wait a second. I have a picture I can bring up and show you the picture myself. Let's do that. I now have the ability to show you graphics. Woo-hoo! I can show you graphics. Hold on, I'm going to show you some graphics here. I'm just going to show you a picture that I have in my files here. But since I can show you graphics now, why not show you the graphics? Let me load this picture and then I'll open it up for all of you to see it. Okay. Hold the phone, we'll get it for you. We'll get it for you. Here is Tennessee. This earthquake, this particular earthquake, happened near a town called Fincastle, Tennessee. Fincastle, Tennessee. Okay. Over here in Tennessee, okay, that's where this earthquake hit. You notice it's part of the southeast part of the North American Craton. The Craton comes down here from Canada, goes through Montana, Wyoming. It even comes through here in Utah. This is the deformed craton here. Okay, but it comes down here, goes through New Mexico, comes into Texas, goes up into Oklahoma, then goes pretty much northeast here into Missouri and goes down into the area of New Madrid area, comes back and goes up here northbound and goes through Tennessee and up the coast through Pennsylvania, Virginia in this area, and goes up into Canada. This is where the earthquake hit today, here in Tennessee. So this has everything to do with energy that has come across and through the plate, around the craton, over here to Tennessee. Over here to Tennessee. Okay. So I hope you understand that. Okay. We're trying to show you the graphics so you can better understand what exactly is going on. Okay. Now it's 8 o'clock. We've got another program here on the Freedom Revolution Network that we're going to have to let them have the network for. We just barely got over the 2-hour limit. Well, we don't have necessarily a limit, but we've already gone 2 hours into our program. We want to thank everybody that has participated in our program tonight. We want to thank everybody that's been in our chat room, that has been asking questions and been part of our program tonight. Child of God here, thank you for being with us. Barbara, ZZ Bear, Chris, Larry, thank you very much, my friend. I so appreciate you. Terry, thank you for calling in and updating the information. We do appreciate it. Hi 2x2, thank you for being here. GT Bird, thank you. We really appreciate it. Marianne, thank you for all the hard work that you do and for keeping us up to date on things. Marianne is a great help in bringing us information. We appreciate it. Barbara, you as well. Thank you for being here with us. Want to thank everybody that is here, that have asked questions, have been part of this program, so we can bring you the latest information we possibly can have. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. We want to thank the folks over at the Freedom Revolution Network, Alicia and also Melissa for her great work in helping bring us on the program. We want to also tell you that our associate Red, her son got hurt Sunday night in a automotive incident. He is doing better. We haven't gotten an update on him, but we understand he is doing better. If you want to donate to help him and Red and their family, you can make donations to the Freedom Revolution Network and make it to Red. Point it to Red. Okay, make those donations to Red, and we'll make sure that information those monies get to her. If you want to make donations to the Emergency Management Associates program, to me, make it to me, or EMA, or Emergency Management Associates. We appreciate all of your donations that you do to help support our program and make it become a better program. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. We also want to bring out the fact that we have people over on the Freedom Revolution Network on YouTube, over on DLive and Twitch. We have people over on iHeartMedia and Pandora that are listening to our program as well. We want to thank everyone on Twitch Twitter that has joined us because of the Twitter participation with our network and our channel. We do appreciate all of you, and also those of you that view us on Facebook Live. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you all for being part of our community, part of our program here tonight. We do appreciate everything you guys do. We really do. It means a lot to us. It really does. If you have any questions for us, please go ahead and submit those questions to us. We will be happy to answer those. You can email us And you can also, those of you that have a way to contact us besides email, the EMA show, the EMA radio on EMA radio at Freedom Revolution Network. You can reach us there, and you can also reach us on our Gmail account, Emergency Management Associates on Gmail, and we'll be able to help you there as well. If you need us for anything else, please let us know, and we will be here to help you. We will be here to help you. So for now, folks, please, God bless you. Do know that we love you. And as Walter Cronkite would say, that's the way it is. Wednesday, February 12th, 2020. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler. Have a great evening, folks. God bless you all.